their shoulders. Some parents had arrived, consoling their kids. I'm not in the big city any longer. Stevie had worked cases in Los Angeles, where hundreds of people made up the crowds at crime scenes. She didn't want to ever do it again. A cop moved within the groups, talking quietly and taking notes. Off to the far right, a few four-wheeled ATVs were positioned in a half circle to shine their headlights on a group of men gathered around a motionless body on the ground. Stevie felt the weight of curious gazes. To the teens, she was an outsider, maybe to some of the adults, too. Moving past the groups, she scanned the young faces. She didn't recognize a single one, but deep inside, she wished she did. That was one of the reasons she'd returned to Solitude. She'd grown weary of living in a giant sea of unknown people in the big city. Feeling isolated and adrift, she'd ached for familiar faces. She strode to the group of cops studying the body at their feet. The male teenager was blonde, wearing long shorts and a tank top. He wasn't wet, so not a drowning. No visible blood or injury. He looked like he was sleeping. What happened? Roy's big bulk turned to greet her.
There she is. Thanks for coming out, hon.
Solitude's new chief of police looked like Santa dressed in a cop's uniform, and usually his jolly attitude matched his exterior, but tonight the smile on his round face was distracted and strained. She made a mental note to talk to Roy about how he addressed her in public. Sure, he'd been her father's best friend all his life, and this was small-town America, but he needed to be professional in front of her new coworkers. Evening, Chief. She used his title instead of Uncle Roy, the nickname she'd called him by for 30 years. He wasn't her uncle, but he'd always felt like one. Roy blinked, his brushy brows coming together. Hello, she greeted the other men.
Good to have you back in town, Stevie,
answered Kenny Fox. He winked at her, his smile honest but sad in his lean face. She and Kenny had known each other since elementary school. The other cops nodded at her. 2 EMTs hung back from the group, packing away their equipment, their initial services unsuccessful. The slump to their shoulders made Stevie's heart contract. They moved slowly, waiting to perform their next duty, transporting the body to the morgue. The entire group was solemn.
This is Hank from the county medical examiner's office,
said Roy, gesturing to a man who was awkwardly getting to his feet.
This is our newest patrol officer, Stevie Taylor.
Kenny put out a hand to steady the rising gray-haired man.
Lord help my knees, I'm not as young as I used to be,
said Hank. He nodded at Stevie, the deep sorrow lines in his face reminding her of Eeyore.
You Bill Taylor's daughter?
Stevie gave a short nod as a numbness shot through her veins.
My condolences. Your father was a good man,
said Hank. Thank you, Hank, she said. Change the subject. Conversation about her father was tender and raw. She looked at Roy. You said the teens claimed he simply collapsed? No one touched him? No blows to his head? Roy nodded.
Less than an hour ago.
Stevie glanced at the group of teens. His parents been notified?
Yes. They're out of town, but headed back tonight.
She briefly closed her eyes. Nothing worse than a loved one dying and not being there.
Could be his heart or something,
Roy speculated. Awfully young for a heart attack, mumbled one of the cops.
I've seen teens on the news who've died of heart problems, Kenny spoke up. Athletes especially. They have heart issues no one knows about, and then, boom, they suddenly drop dead.
The lights of the ATVs shone harshly on Hunter Brandt's body. Stevie eyed his bare arms, her gaze automatically searching for the track marks that had appeared on 2/3 of the dead bodies she'd seen in her past job. He take something? Or inhale anything? You see any injection sites? She asked the examiner. Hank pulled off his gloves, eyeing her curiously.
I'll know when I have 'em on the table.